How is everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about LiAngelo Ball being arrested in China for shoplifting alongside two of his teammates, Cody Riley and Jalen Hill. Now, before I get into that whole situation, before I break down what happened, I just want to tell you a little bit of information about LiAngelo Ball and why he's relevant. Why is it a news story? Why we're talking about it. Now, he is the second oldest brother out of the Ball brothers. The oldest brother, Lonzo, is currently playing for the LA Lakers as a rookie. It's kind of hard to tell what kind of player he is. We're only about 2 weeks into the season. Someone said he's a bust. Some say he's a phenom. But either way, he's kind of like up and down. He's a decent player so far. LiAngelo, who we're talking about today, plays for UCLA. And they were in China to face Georgia Tech for their season opener. It was a special game. They were in Hangzhou, which is not too far from Shanghai. The youngest brother is LaMelo Ball. He currently plays high school basketball. Now, the reason why these brothers are well known, why they're popular, aside from them all being in high levels of basketball, pretty good basketball players, one being in the NBA, aside from that is their father, the very loud, the very boisterous LaVar Ball. He's been all over TV, everywhere, talking about different things, drawing attention to the whole situation, talking about, I could have beat Michael Jordan in my heyday. Now, mind you, LaVar Ball did play basketball. He's like 6'8". He's a basketball player, but he did not play in the NBA, and he was not that good of a college basketball player. But he said he could beat Jordan. That got him into this kind of little, I don't want to say altercation. You know how it is on some of these shows where they kind of argue back and forth, but it's just for it's in good spirits. He had that with Stephen A. Smith. That drew a lot of attention to him. And then subsequent interviews on different shows have done the same thing. So that was able to build recognition for not only LaVar himself, but also for his entire family, including his sons. They have this brand called Big Baller Brand, which is going to be the vehicle for them to be able to have shoes, apparel, etc. It's already online. That drew a lot of attention because of how expensive everything was. You're talking about the cheapest shoe on the website is $200, and that is a pair of flip-flops. The actual basketball shoes cost between $500 and $1,000 US. That drew a lot of attention from celebrities, from regular people, from sports analysts and the like. But that just helped to build their brand. It also drew a lot of eyes on the Ball brothers. Every move they make, every step they take is going to be scrutinized by the mainstream media and also regular people. Now, the reason why the situation with LiAngelo is very important is because they were in China and they got arrested. First of all, I just want to explain what happened from what I've been able to understand. They were in Hangzhou, and it was a hotel they were staying in, which they're still at, which I'll get to that a little bit later. And next to the hotel, there's like a shopping mall or some stores, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, et cetera, et cetera. They went into maybe 3 of those stores or less or more. I'm not quite sure, but I'll link to the full detail of the store in the description box below. But they walked into some of these stores and got to shoplifting, and they got caught on surveillance camera. Now, normally in China, you would get locked up right away for that. It wouldn't be any kind of bail, but they've luckily been able to get sent back to their hotel, which they still are at. They've not been allowed to come back with their team to the States. So they're just pretty much there waiting on a trial or something. They could be there for 20 days. Meanwhile, the season's still going on. So they're missing games. They're missing classes, all of that. They're pretty much on house arrest in the hotel. Now, if they get convicted or if they get brought to trial on the charges, it could be from 3 to 10 years and or a fine. So it's a pretty harsh penalty. It probably won't happen because, like I said, normally they don't get any kind of bail. You wouldn't be allowed to go back to your hotel. You probably would get sent to a jail until the trial. That could be 37 days. Then you go on trial. Then you get convicted. So the first good sign is they were able to get sent back to the hotel room, which is a good sign. However, they still could be convicted from 3 to 10 years in prison. But if they are allowed to stay in the hotel room, they'll probably be allowed to go back home. If they go back home and they get someone back to China for a court date, they probably won't have to show up, because at that point they're in the U.S. and you got to get extradited. That probably won't happen for any kind of minor offense like shoplifting. However, if they get convicted, like I forget what the legal term is, but if you're not there and the conviction is ruled without you, you would be facing arrest and imprisonment if you ever came back to China. What's probably going to happen is that they'll pay a fine, the school's going to pay it, or LaVar's going to pay it with the money that they got from the big baller brand, unfortunately. I'm not sure about his teammates, Cody Riley, Jalen Hill. I'm not sure about them. I'm not sure if their parents have money or whatever, or if it'll be covered by the school. And I'm not quite sure what the penalty is going to be from the actual school, from UCLA, where they get expelled, where they get suspended. It's got to be a suspension. I mean, you got caught on video camera shoplifting, and you got held in a hotel for maybe 20 days, a month, maybe 2 weeks. You might have got a sentence. I mean, they're going to get some kind of penalty once they come back. And if they don't, then that seems like you have a pretty, a high bar of tolerance. You can pretty much do whatever you want and not get a fine. But I doubt it. If you can get pretty much expelled from school for accepting money from a booster, then surely you got to go get some kind of penalty for stealing money, essentially, from a foreign country. And how it relates to politics, I'm going to bring it on back home to Trump. I got to mention him because it just so happens that Trump and Melania were in China during this whole situation, right? I think Melania is still in China right now, going through the Great Wall, taking photo ops and stuff like that. If you would have had 3 Americans get locked up while Trump was there for shoplifting sunglasses, that would have been the bad mark on the government. The government may behave that way every day with just regular citizens or common people. But then when you have the president of the U.S. and you're trying to have relations between U.S. and China be smooth and not be rocky, especially during that time right there where Trump is in China, you don't want to have that situation happen. That would just make the whole thing bad, because even if Trump didn't see it himself, even if Trump was not directly right there to witness it with his own 2 eyes, it's going to be asked to him. It's going to be a question when they go to these press conferences, when they go to these places to meet. You're going to have journalists from all over the world, and they're going to say, Mr. Trump, what about 3 Americans just been arrested in China and are facing 10 years in prison because of shoplifting sunglasses? Okay, so I think really LiAngelo Ball and LaVar and everybody else should thank Trump for being there in China, because that probably helped him get sent back to the hotel room rather than to a penitentiary. But at the same time, also thank LaVar, because if these are just 3 regular college basketball players, low level, with no kind of profile, then maybe they might not have been sent back to the hotel room. Maybe they go to a penitentiary. In China, they really don't play any games. That's a communist country. You can get locked up for small things. In America, as I close, we take things for granted. We take the ability to pretty much do whatever we want and get small sentences, cut deals, hire a lawyer, all this and that, all the freedoms and rights we have. We take those things for granted. Once you go to China, it ain't like that. I think these kids, LiAngelo, Cody, and Jalen, they thought it was all good. They thought they can just go to China and just take stuff, take sunglasses. It won't really be a big deal. It's like you just go into a regular mall in the States. They might not lock you up. They may kick you out the mall or whatever if you get caught. No. This is a lesson to everybody. When you go to these foreign countries, you can't just do whatever you want to do. They got laws on the books. And if you violate those laws, if you break those laws, hey, you never know what's on the other side for you. Okay, you've seen some of the jails in the U.S. on shows like Lock Up or whatever. You know pretty much what to expect from that. But have you seen a Chinese jail before? Do you know what a communist country is like to be in an actual courtroom? I've read that they have a 99.2% conviction rate, which is more than the federal government itself. And everybody knows that if the feds come knocking, you going to jail, because if they come knocking, they booked a case for 10 years. They spent $1 million. They're not going to lose that case. The only way they're going to lose the case, the only way you're not going to get convicted is if it's some kind of technicality. If you have Johnny Cochran or, the first Kardashian, Robert Kardashian or somebody, you got to have an excellent lawyer. You got to have an excellent defense team. You got to have some kind of crazy mastery of the law, some kind of crazy legal acumen to get out of a federal conviction. Because like I said, if they spend those resources, if they spend time, money, energy, all of that on you, they're going to convict you. But the Chinese government, just the regular police, have a higher conviction rate than the FBI. That tells you something. So they're lucky to get out of a Chinese jail. And I think you got to thank Trump for being there at the particular time, just happened to be, chilling with Xi Jinping off of the Koi Gate kerfuffle with Shinzo Abe of Japan. And then you have LaVar being the big boisterous personality that has brought a lot of attention to them. That attention can work for good in this case because they have a high visibility. Therefore, if something happens to LaVar Ball's son, that's going to be a big incident internationally because it's going to be news over here in the States, which will travel to China. That's going to create a lot of friction. So that's pretty much all I got to say about it. What do you think? Do you think that these kids should be locked up for the shoplifting for 3 to 10 years? Or do you think they should not be? Should it be a fine, slap on the wrist, some kind of punishment? What should it be when they get back to the States? Should it be some kind of punishment from the college? I think so. I don't think shoplifting is that big of a deal. It'd be different if they were robbing like a jewelry store or something at gunpoint. But, sunglasses, that's just stupid. I think what they're going through right now is going to be a good enough of a lesson. They'll probably be in the hotel for like a month at least, maybe 2 to 3 months. They're going to miss out on college classes. They're going to miss out on games. I think that'll be enough. And then also some kind of official punishment from the college that'll get them right. And that would scare me, really. I think maybe there should be some kind of sentence. You can't come back to China, or if you do come back, there's going to be this sentence waiting for you. It's just like if you get convicted of a crime in Germany and you flee, you can't come back to anywhere in the EU because you'll be arrested. I think it should be the same thing for them in China. But whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.